Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the November 6, 2014 meeting of the Advisory Neighborhood Commission 6C. I'm Alexander Conroy, Chair. I will ask our Secretary to call the roll.
6001.
Present.
02.
Here.
3.
Present.
4. Here. 5 is me. 6. 7. Present.
Thank you very much. We do have a quorum to be able to conduct business. Commissioner Alvin just did let me know that he has a work-related emergency. He was not able to join us this evening. Firstly, let me congratulate my colleagues on their successful re-elections to their offices. We do have we'll have one new commissioner coming in the next term. Is Antonio Barnes present?
Here.
Mr. Barnes, congratulations. We look forward to working with you. Moving on to the agenda, I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
Oh, I have an addition. This is the, oh, you had the liquor guy? Andy? Yeah. So I have to add on, Andy's carryout, they're looking for their renewal for their liquor license for Class B, I think it's 209, and, New York Avenue. Yeah.
Action. The name of your sign is
Andy's carryout, place to go for wings.
All right, anything else? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
I motion that ANC 60 approves the November agenda.
Is there a second?
I second.
Probably moved in second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. As always, we have our friends from the Metropolitan Police Department have the privilege of being the first to present before us, so that we can get them back on the street where we need them to be keeping our community safe. So if we can have the representatives from the Metropolitan Police Department, 1st and 3rd District, come forward.
Officer Glenn from 3rd District. Wasn't here last month, I was on vacation. After being here on the board. You guys have any questions to start out? You want to ask me about anything that's going on in the area or concerns? Yeah.
I do. I spoke to Father Barber this evening, and he wants me to inform you that there were, near home in the church that happened, there's a robbery, 5 men.
What's the address?
Holy Lima area.
Well, that's 1D, so he's 3D.
I'm sorry.
1D is coming. Somebody from 1D is coming.
Can you speak on the shooting at the N Street Park as well as the shooting that took place adjacent to the library?
Yes, I'll address that right now. Because it seems to be, I get a lot of questions when I'm walking on the street and I get stopped a lot about it. I was actually the first one to get to the N Street shooting. It was on foot at the time, and I responded. It was categorized as destruction of property because no human beings or animals were hit. There was 7 shots fired. I recovered 3 shell casings. We didn't know who the target was. It was an individual who was sitting in the park. That individual has been was wanted for another violation and another person is in custody right now. So the target, we believe, is not out there anymore. This, from what I've been able to gather from talking to certain people in the area, people with the knowledge of the inner workings of the crews, it was one individual that was targeted, as I said, and it was some sort of beef they were having over either turf or something of that nature.
What does your intel state that he is? If they think he's not there anymore, where did he go?
He's locked up.
Oh, okay.
He was locked up for a CSOSA violation. Actually, my commander, Commander Kister, was responsible for doing the background to to get him held. When he had a court appearance for something else, and he backtracked and found out the CSOC was looking for him as well, and he was incarcerated when he made that appearance. He's off the street, and that's Commander Kisler's doing.
But you have no idea who was actually doing the shooting.
We do not, the lookout that I was given, nobody wanted to be interviewed. The caller did not want to be interviewed when I got there. Our dispatcher customarily will call back the caller who calls 911. That individual did not want to be interviewed. The lookout I was given was for an older model, gray or silver Toyota four-door, unknown license plates.
Do you know if Washington Apartments owns that property on the right-hand side of that?
Right.
Have you spoken with the property manager?
Yes, I have, at length. In fact, I stopped in to see her at least 5 times a week.
Okay, she had no video footage from that nature to the office?
That was given to detectives. When I do a report for a damaged property of that nature, the detective came on scene, and he does all the legwork for that type of follow-up. Officers don't view videotape, the detectives are giving that.
So she gave videotape to the detectives?
I'm assuming she did. I'm sort of out of the loop at that point. Once I submit that report to my sergeant, it's approved, the detectives follow up on any leads. And I did actually personally obtain a thumb drive from Gibson Plaza and give it to the detective because there was some footage I was able to obtain of the traffic pattern going east right before and right after the incident occurred.
And what about the shooting at Wathatu Dam?
The shooting that happened on 8th and R, the individual that was shot, I was told was shot 8 or 9 times. He was chased in the 1700 block of 8th Street towards the corner of 8th and R, where he was eventually caught and shot by a single assailant either 8 or 9 times. I've heard both 8 and 9. He's still alive. He's not a local person. He's from Silver Spring, Maryland.
Does he know who it is?
They haven't told us who it is. I know who is wanted for the shooting. There's a warrant been issued for that individual. He's from Northeast Washington. He frequents the 7th and S, 17 and 1800 blocks of 8th Street area, and the 900 block of French Street.
So neither of the persons actually live in the area.
So that individual is probably a member of what they call the crew that is at 1737. Because he frequents the area that he's known to us. We have his mugshot. There's been a warrant issued, signed by a judge today for his arrest in connection with that shooting. Most likely it was a drug. The little bit that I've heard so far, and it comes in dribs and drabs, and a lot of it is somewhat credible, that individual from Silver Spring was a high-level drug dealer, and he was in either, he owed somebody money, somebody owed him money, didn't want to pay, it was probably having something to do with drugs. Question?
What's this, it's not related to this event, what's the going on with the convenience store at 5th and N, where they were trying to shut it down with the selling of synthetic marijuana?
That market?
Yeah.
The last that I heard is, and I was actually there when they arrested her, she was arrested by, there was a vice operation that culminated in her arrest. And apparently she's open for business again. I don't know if it's pending her court case. Again, once that arrest is made and she's taken away, the attorneys handle that, the government, and also the detectives and the vice detectives.
So officer, let me add on to that, David, I can clear that up. So there is, she actually lives in Northwest, the 2nd Northwest, go up across the street from the store, so she is a constituent of mine. And she got bailed by her lawyer, and the case was not papered. It's up with Roger Kemp, but that said, I'm going around the other way, trying to work with DCRA to shut her down, because I highly doubt that the district attorneys are going to be able to, due to the tests from the lab and the type of what she was selling, and it goes on and on and on. It is terribly difficult to close a store from those lab tests because they keep changing formulas. So we're going to try the other way, which is another long process. So to be continued, to say the least. So.
And anything that this body can do to accomplish those ends is gonna help us greatly, because some of these business operations are havens for illegal activity. They go in there, they hide their drugs in that place, and others like it. And the owners allow that to occur because their constituency are the people that buy the items in the store. So, you know, I don't like to get involved in business and anything like that on the street, but those types of operations that Rachel was alluding to are just exacerbating the problem.
Goes for the demands. The
What?
demand, who's demanding it? I have a question.
Sure.
They sell these cigars that everybody knows they use to put drugs in.
Right.
Is that legal for the stores to do that?
To sell the cigars?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
whatever it is.
Yeah, they can sell the cigars, they're no different than selling cigarettes. And we all know what they get used for, and the branding perpetuates the whole mystique of, you know, there's naked lady drawings on the front of them and all, and there's really not a whole lot that, you know, we can do about that. I mean, that's just, you know, people are gonna sell what makes them money, and unfortunately, the constituency wants to purchase those types of items.
Question,
Sure.
does the NPD does it have any programs that may be developed that's gonna educate people that even though marijuana is being legalized, that they're not allowed to smoke it outside? I'm having that, even the day of election, standing on the corner, I could smell marijuana, and I had to call the police.
Yeah, I mean,
Thankfully, somebody did respond, but I think there needs to be some type of educational process to let people know it may be legal, but it's inside, not
it's
outside.
actually, it's just like alcohol. It's, you can possess alcohol, but you're not allowed to consume it in public with an open container. Marijuana is no different. You're not allowed to have public consumption of marijuana. We actually have ticket books now, which it just issued us to cite people for that.
Do you
That
have
being
any
said, it's very, very difficult at times
Understand.
when you're dressed like me to come upon somebody who's smoking a joint and actually get them, because they see me coming a mile away. The vice guys are the ones that are successful in making those public consumption of marijuana arrests. And I will tell you, vice is being taken out of the districts. It's going to be centralized in NSID now. We're not going to have vice units in
Will
the
there be
district or
any-
any other district anymore.
Will there be any
In a
literature,
couple of weeks.
will there be any literature?
That I can't answer. I'll certainly ask my lieutenant, my commander about that. That's sort of above my pay grade.
Understood.
But
Suggestion. As I told everybody before, we all have telephones and we all have mouths. Why don't we do this, or those of us who care? Call our people and let them know how we feel about this. If that marijuana law gets abused, we got another big problem. And it's a possibility that it will be.
I mean, I'm sure. I mean, it's.
So marijuana itself won't hurt you, but they got so many other things that they do with it. They put all kind of stuff with it, that it could cause us a big problem. Now, we know, those of us, we know what is in our mind. I personally will call everybody from North and all the way down. Because that's the only way we're gonna get something done, but one person can't do it. Everybody's gotta be on the same scope. Or close to the same scope. That's the reason for the ANC and all these other committees we have. So that we can talk to them and they can push it for us. And that's what we need to do. Said all I've got to say about it. I'm an old lady, I'm not worried about it. Because I've done mine and had my good time. You guys, I pray for you.
Anybody else have anything they want to address?
I think I'd seen a hand in the back, but if not, maybe this has been answered.
My lieutenant wanted me to just talk briefly about a couple of things, and I think I touched on this on one of the earlier meetings. PSA 308 is the PSA that I've been patrolling until Sunday. Now they've added a huge chunk of 307 for me as well. But in terms of PSA 308, the only increase in crime that we've had is a slight uptick in thefts from auto. And I can say from my experience in patrolling, most of them are happening on Q Street and Marion Street. That being said, if you have out-of-town guests children, nieces, nephews visiting you, out-of-state plates, those are the prime targets, are out-of-state plates, okay? Tell your guests, tell your friends, people that are coming into the city, people you see from New Jersey that have a whole bunch of luggage in the back of their car and they're walking off to go to a restaurant, say, hey, my suggestion to you, a friendly suggestion is put it in the trunk. Because what happens is these teenagers, and most of them are teenagers, are coming by, they'll smash the window, they'll grab whatever they can as fast as they can, they don't worry about sorting through it, they get into the alley and they look through it, and they're targeting the computers or electronics, things that they can fence very easily, okay? The other thing is, be very, very cognizant of where you park your car. If you can park it in a welded area, do it. Okay, they do it, it's a crime of opportunity. That's why Marion Street has so many, because it's a very lightly traveled street. It's one way going south, and it's very easy to hide and lane wait there. Okay? So if anybody that lives in that area, please be very careful and make sure you check the vehicles and you notify people that are staying with you that may be parking in these areas. Anything else?
Thank you very much, Officer Berlin, and thank you for continuing to do such a fantastic job
Thank you.
on that quick beat that you're responsible for.
And again, if anybody, you see me walking down the street and you have a suggestion or something that I should be aware of as a police officer that I can communicate to the other officers that work with me or that I can attack myself, please don't hesitate to flag me down. I'm always willing to talk.
Thank you.
Just call them officer friendly.
Take care, guys.
So let's hear from 1D.
How you doing? I'm Lieutenant Bedlingham, PSA manager for 103. And for those of you that aren't familiar with the border, it's New York Avenue, North Capitol, over 4th Street, and all the way down to National Mall. And then we pick up a small portion on the northeast side to 2nd Street, L, down to Union Station roughly. And I caught officers' advice on theft from autos. That too is affecting our area. What we're seeing it is primarily along the K Street corridor. We had a slight uptick. Thankfully, it's gone down. The 30-day comparison is down 46%. Unfortunately, what we find is when we address a certain area, it tends to move. And we've made a couple arrests, a couple warrants that were closed. And we're trying to be mindful and proactive on that. And again, those kind of pointers, those advice, that's the best way to really prevent the theft from autos. I know there was some concerns about 4th and K, the legal parking on the sidewalk. I just went by there, there are tickets on the cars there. Were there any specific questions about that people had that
Yeah.
wanted to be addressed?
I'm Marge, I'm the one that
Hey,
you
Marge.
spoke to. And I brought you some pictures.
Okay.
My problem was a week ago, there were 14 cars parked on the sidewalk across the street from the auto body shop. They were all apparently waiting to be serviced. Overnight, 5, 6, 7 still there, the next day still some. And then they moved them into the no parking area on K Street. This has been going on for months, and the Sid and I have gone over to the owner, we've spoken to the folks in there, we've asked for public safety, I guess it is, to come out. We've called Metropolitan and said, you know, what can we do, how can we deal with this? I guess the problem for me is, if there's a curb cut and it goes up onto the sidewalk, are people allowed to park there?
If they're parked on a driveway, they can. What I think we're going to need to find out, and seeing it tonight, is that any way considered part of his private property? Because it does go to a garage.
Well, I'm talking about across the street as well. If you look at some of the pictures I've given you, there are cars parked across the street on the curb cuts and all the way up to the fence and behind the flower things.
Like right here, these two?
Yeah, you can see that across the street, but there are others. When I asked the parking enforcement lady, she said, oh no, we're not allowed to ticket them. They have special permission. Well, if they have special permission to park on, if I parked my car there, you would give me a ticket. So I would kind of feel the city would not necessarily give special permission to those folks to use that as the parking area for their business. The other thing, the streetscape, which was just completed about a year ago, if you look at the very first picture, you can see the oil stain that is on the sidewalk, because these people use it as their work bay for their business. And it's destructive to the beauty of the entire work, the $80 million that went into doing this. And I'm sorry, I'm not even sure MPD is the person we need to address this with. When I got so frustrated, I just sent it to Diane because she's a personal friend. And I just, send me in the right direction is what I had said to her. And then 5 and 6 days later, it was still going on, and then I said, well, what's going on? And then I did send something to Jeff because I wasn't sure where to go or what to do. But I'm hoping somebody will tell us where and who to complain to, because there is no reason for that business to be using the public space as his personal parking lot for his business, when he does have a fenced-in area directly next to his business. It's so full of junk and crap that he couldn't put a car in there. But, I mean, that is his property, and that's probably where he should be storing cars that need to be repaired. Parking is extremely difficult along K Street and L Street as it is now because of all the construction. So to take, and use the sidewalk areas as parking is just not right. And the other issue is on Sunday evening, there is a group that comes in at 6:30 every Sunday, and they park their trucks and their cars up on the sidewalk as well, while they're giving out food to the hungry. Believe me, I say give the food to the hungry, but right in front of them is the curb, and the curb is empty and there's nobody parked there. Why do you have to park up on the sidewalk to distribute food? I just don't understand that. So maybe you can,
Well, we can step up our enforcement on that on Sunday mornings. That's something we can easily address as far as the food. I'm sure it's probably just a pedestrian.
I don't even know if they have a permit to be there. I mean,
To hand out food?
yeah.
Well, they can do that. They don't need a permit for that. They can come and do that. And we have a lot of groups that come in on Sundays specifically. So if they're violating any parking laws, we can have that enforced. Again, that's something you may want to pass on to DPW as well, as far as their traffic enforcement. I will say the ticket that was issued on the car, and may I keep these? Because I'd like to
Yes.
follow up on this.
Yeah, I
Thank you.
made copies for you.
For those of you, there was a ticket on the cars here. So that, based on that, I would assume that's clear that that's considered public, and it's a violation. DPW issued that ticket. Across the street, the photo you showed me, that's for those of you that can't see, it's on the south side of K. I'm gonna have to do some further research. Looks like it's right near a parking lot. It might be private property. I'll have to find out. But again, I apologize for the delay. I think based on the 3D officers being here, you all have gathered that we're in a kind of a border area. So some of these areas, people get mixed up between 3D, 5D, 1D. So this is relatively new to me as far as this being an issue. I didn't know that you, Marge, had complained about it, but
Well, not only me, the SID, we've been working together with them. We were going every day for maybe a month and nothing. We would speak to the owner and say, please, can't do that. That's, it's not your right to park up there. And, just blew it off. So finally, after, many, many, many times, we've asked, for your help.
and we'll do more on it, and I'll
Okay.
get back to you, and I have your email saved, so you'll hear from me soon.
Cool, thank you.
So Commissioner Jennings, I believe you had an issue for.
Yes.
Okay, I was informed by Barbara Ballmer, I hope you didn't see, so, Commissioner, he asked me to ask you, a woman got robbed, in the subway station, the incident, going to work or
It
something.
was on Tuesday morning?
I believe so,
Yes.
okay. So,
Yeah, we had a woman robbed on her way to Metro Station to work. It was right here, 200 block of New York Avenue, on the First District side. We did have officers, in fact, an officer was brought to his attention, someone flagged him down. He was there very quickly. There were officers in the area. Unfortunately, guys got away. We had units canvassing. We have identified a suspect. Apologize, I gotta turn this too. We do have a suspect identified. and we're working on closing that case. And one thing I tell folks, and I don't know if the 3D officer mentioned it, and I'll tell you personally, if I see you on the street, if you need to walk somewhere, if you need to do anything out in public, and this is part of my job, I gotta answer this phone, this is the Watchman phone. But if I have to answer it somewhere, I'm gonna stop and I'm gonna put my back against the wall. I'm wearing a police uniform and I have a gun. So if you have to talk on the phone, my strong advice is do not walk and talk on the phone. Don't put earbuds in and have your head down. And it's no excuse that someone takes advantage of that, but we can do certain things to be preventative. So I encourage everyone to do that. And I think we're going to have that case closed, and we've made some significant robbery arrests recently. So I think we'll have that one closed.
And the other issue was, a robbery, 5 men in the AM, robbed someone again, in the breezeway between Hope Redeemer, the little walkway,
Mhm.
that isn't it? You know about that one?
Was that this morning?
I guess so.
Yeah, and we believe they're connected, and that's what we're going to be working on closing. And I think we'll close that soon.
We want to know what happened to the policeman in the AM, around the neighborhood, holding that neighborhood.
We still have dedicated police officers that cover New York Avenue and the surrounding vicinity of that every shift. As well as, New York Avenue, as I mentioned, is bordered between the 3rd District and the 5th District. So one DI, I can tell you, has a dedicated 2-man team there daily, barring any unusual circumstance. And I'm up there frequently, hopefully y'all have seen me, so I know some of you have. I do have a car. I'm sorry, I almost ran out, but I can get you all my information. 299-3381. My office number, 299-3381, if you need to hold me, Lieutenant Bedlian, Bedlion.
Any other questions for the lieutenant? None? Thank you very
All right,
much.
thank you.
Thank you very much for responding.
You're welcome. Take care. Have a good night.
So, obviously, we've heard a couple of people's cell phones go off, so we'll make the admonition to please put them on vibrate or silent, so that everyone can hear the proceedings this evening. Also, very quickly, wanted to ask Mr. Suggs to, if he's still here. Yes, Mr. Suggs, if you want to introduce yourself to the community?
Hello, everyone. My name is Chris Suggs, and I am the site manager for RH Terrell Recreation Center, which is right downstairs in that room next door. I will, before I leave, I have to go downstairs and check on my people here in a few minutes, but I can put my information up there, or Ms. Jenkins, who is the librarian at Northwest One, has my information as well. I'm trying to reach out to the community and find out which ways we can help you guys out with programming more for adults. We have a lot of programs for kids. We want to try to do more for adults. So if you would like to email me or contact me in any way, you can give it to Ms. Jenkins, and you can put my information up there as well. But thank you.
And thank you in advance for hosting us at our December 2nd meeting,
Not a
because
problem.
this room is not going to be available for us. And so we'll have the pleasure of moving across the hall. So, moving on with the agenda. First item is 1400 block of 9th Street Northwest. This is an item that came before the commission in July. It was at the time considered a minor modification to the planned unit development for City Market at O. It's referred to as Parcel C. One of the last buildings waiting to be constructed at 9th and P Streets Northwest. The commission supported the minor modification and communicated that support to the zoning commission, and that when the zoning commission met on it, they decided that no, it shouldn't be a minor modification, it should be a regular modification. So let us know, please, representatives from Roadside, if anything has changed since the presentation in July, or otherwise just ask us to support this as a regular modification.
Sure, Commissioner Fodger, thank you. As you mentioned, the zoning commission asked that it be officially heard at a hearing in December. So other than that, there have not been any changes from what you already unanimously endorsed in July. There was actually one minor change that we actually think further makes it actually less significant, which is that we rotated the elevator core so that it's set back even further back from where it was before. So we actually responded to their feedback that is there any way that we could improve it. So we actually did find a way to actually set it back a little bit further. But other than that, there haven't been any changes, and we just seek your support again in a form of a letter to the zoning commission for the December hearing.
All right, are there any questions from members of the commission? So, I don't see any hands from the audience, so I'll move that advisory neighborhood commission 6C support the modification to the planned unit development for City Market at O, parcel C, and that we communicate that support to the zoning commission of the District of Columbia. I would ask for a second.
I'll second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Moving on to 1534 Fifth Street Northwest. This is another case that has come before the commission previously. The applicant had requested support for a curb cut to allow parking so that the parking requirement for the new semi-detached flat being constructed at this address could be accommodated. The commission did not support that relief and did not support parking relief at that time. DDOT also rejected the curb cut, so the applicant comes back before us with the only other alternative, which is to seek relief from the Board of Zoning Adjustment to waive the one requirement for a single parking space associated with the property. So, anything that you need to add?
I think you summarized it.
Okay, this is in Commissioner Chapel's Single Member District.
Sorry, just one other thing I'll say, I have reached out to the neighbors as well, and all of them have been, that I've spoken to have been supportive of getting the waiver, including my two most immediate neighbors.
I move that ANC 6C approve or support Porterfino's application for zoning relief from a parking requirement for the completion of the construction at 1534 5th Street Northwest. And ask for a second.
I'll second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a suggestion before we move to the next item.
Certainly.
Can we put some time restraints on the next two items?
Yes, Marge, we will be brief then.